Hey there. It's good to see you. Welcome back to the Truck Show Podcast. This is your host, Holman, and we're coming from the Pod Shed live in Huntington Beach, California. And first off, I wanted to say thank you to everybody who reached out and said, hey, I can only download 28 minutes of the episode or something like that for the last one. And there was a glitch on upload, so that caused a problem, obviously. So I uploaded the file again, pushed it out everywhere, and I know some of you continue to have issues throughout the week, even though the correct file was in place. And a lot of times that has to do with the cache on your phone having downloaded the incorrect one and then not resetting to download the new correct one. So what you can do in the future is go to another app. So if you listen on Spotify, try Apple or vice versa. Or you can restart the app or restart your phone, and it should force a new download. So anyway, the correct episode's up. It's been up for a while. So if you're still having problems or you didn't go back, please try and go back and listen to that episode. It's a good one. But thank you again for reaching out, letting me know, because as soon as I hear those things from you guys, I instantly jump on it. And within probably, 5 or 6 hours, it was corrected. But I know that didn't work for everybody. So sorry about that. Hopefully this episode is uncorrupted and untruncated for you. All right, so I have to admit this week, I had a triumph. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, that's enough. I finally got through, I swear it's been like 80 hours. Finally got the entire KC American Venture Lab Red Arc 105 amp hour battery system wired in the back of the Jeep, and it is spectacular. I wish I could tell you the amount of pain, time, struggles, extra money, how many times a day the Amazon guy came to my house with like connectors and wires and things, how many times, I still can't feel my fingertips, but the payoff is huge. And so there's going to be a video. We teased a couple of videos, and they were over 30,000 views between myself and American Venture Lab and KC, and all these hand raisers saying, how do we get that? So if you're one of those people, stay tuned. Hopefully this week I'm going to be putting out a new walkthrough video so you can see everything. It is phenomenal. The fact that everything's hidden within the shelf, I was able to get all the wires, all of the battery, all the controller, everything tucked up out of the way. I'm really proud of my wiring on it. Everything's super clean. And then through the Red Arc Red Vision, I can control things like lighting. I can dim it. I can control my Starlink, turn it on and off. I can control my fridge, which I hardwired into the Jeep. I can control my Midland radio, my USB auxiliary outlets that I have in the tailgate, as well as I have a 1,000-watt inverter in there. And I had wired double check, triple check, started adding fuses. And I'm like, all right, here we go. Hit the power wire. Everything fired right up. No smoke came out. Passed the smoke test. And there's a screen that you go to that says faults, no faults. No faults. So throughout the week, I've been driving it. I got it charged way down. Then I charged it way up, used solar. Then I brought it back down. Then I let the alternator charge. I went through a few cycles. It calibrated. Again, no faults. Everything's great. No squeaks. No rattles. Just nothing. Everything just works. And it's absolutely beautiful. So I'm really proud of myself because I'm going to tell you that I kicked ass. So good for me. Go me. This has been a massive pain in getting this done. Not from a standpoint of it's a pain that I had to do it. No, I wanted this, but we really elevated it to the next level when Casey came out with a flat battery as a prototype, and then they're trying to figure out what to do with it. And then I saw Britt's shelf, and Britt and I started talking about it. I said, let's do this. I worked together with those three with Red Arc, and to see it finally come together and it's as awesome as I hoped it would be is great. And then I'm hoping in June to potentially go out on a Death Valley trip, and that'll probably be the break-in. It'll also be at Overland Expo West at the KC Open House, I believe, on that Wednesday before, so if you're going to be in Flagstaff for that. And then I believe it may also be on display outside the Orbital Lounge in the fairgrounds. So we're working on that right now. So there'll be an opportunity to see it in person, but I'm telling you, this thing is so good. So from an overlander standpoint, having that much power, being able to make power and have solar, my solar was doing like 175 watts of input, like 12 and a half amps or something like that. So super smoking fast. In the desert where I go a lot and there's a lot of blue sky and high sun, I would be topped off by, basically probably by lunchtime. And just so stoked because I was like the last piece of the puzzle. Now I got a couple little things I got to do. I've got to mount my pack out rack to the shelf in the back because I've got my compressor inside a pack out box. and then I got to run the Apex CRS reel system and then do a quick disconnect so I can plug it into the box when it sits back there. And then we got to put our drawers in. Britt's got the drawers and everything that will go in after, now that we know everything's working and wired and all that stuff. So once I'm done with all that, it's going to be like back to the old Jeep, and I'm going to be out on adventures, and you may not hear from me for weeks because I'll be out enjoying myself in the middle of nowhere. And I have additional circuits too, so I'm trying to figure out like what should I do with all these additional circuits. And part of me is like, well, I could wire some more lights in there. I could do some exterior stuff. Right now, let's see. I'll go through the list again. I've got USB ports. I've got my Midland radio, my GMRS. I've got my Dometic fridge. I've got my Kingpin light. They sent me lights for the inside. I've got my tailgate table light from Brit. I've got the Red Arc system is wired for the display. And I've got like 4 or 5 maybe additional circuits. Oh, I got my Starlink in there. That's the other one. And my compressor. So there's some other stuff I can toss in there, and I've got room for expansion, which is super cool. So anyway, stay tuned at Sean P. Holman, and I'll see if I can get it over on Truck Show Podcast, but you can only do 5 collabs. So I'll probably tag Truck Show and then do the business side of it on at Sean P. Holman. But that'll hopefully be out later this week. That's my goal. And it is really cool. So anybody who's got a JK, a JL 2-door, 4-door, Bronco 2-door, 4-door, and I think Britt said he's going to try and make it work for some of the Toyota stuff as well. At least in this initial tranche, it'll be Bronco and Wrangler. So it is super rad, and I'm stoked, and I can't wait to share it with you guys. So that was basically my week. I mean, it was super busy, and that and doing a lot of land use stuff. I'm sure you guys have, especially in California, have heard of WEMO, which is the Western Mojave closure. Been working on that. Had meetings with the 29 Palms Marine Base about Johnson Valley. And getting ready to head out to Washington, D.C. in a few weeks because I'm going to be going out there for the SEMA D.C. rally. And hopefully I'll bring you guys. I've just been cranking lately and keeping busy, and now it's time to get a podcast out. So just want to say thanks for joining us again. And on this episode of the Truck Show Podcast, our friend Mercedes Lilienthal is back on. She had gone to Dakar Rally, kind of like what I did last year, except hers was with Land Rover. So I decided it would be kind of cool to have her back on. So we have a pretty cool conversation from right after she returned from the rally. It might have been, I guess, probably a couple months ago. So this one's been in the bank. So I've been wanting to get this one out to you guys. But she was there with the Land Rover team because they had the Defender Octa out there racing. And she'll tell you how they did and her experiences of going out to Saudi Arabia and all that kind of good stuff. But before we get started and talk to Mercedes, we've got to thank the companies that make the Truck Show Podcast possible. So the Truck Show Podcast is proudly brought to you in partnership with AMSOIL, the maker of the best synthetics and the same ones we use in our rigs. Did you know AMSOIL is more than just synthetic oil? They also make some of the finest lubricants, greases, additives, filters, car care products, and yes, even awesome merch. And yes, I am wearing an AMSOIL t-shirt right now. The current AMSOIL promotion is a ruggedized tire gauge. Spend $100 or more by 5/5, that's May 5th, 26, and use the code GAUGE426, GAUGE426, and you can get yourself a free tire pressure gauge with the AMSOIL logo right there on the face. It's pretty cool. We use AMSOIL products to protect our rigs, and you can do the same by heading to the truckshowpodcast.com and using our special link under the featured products section. Do you need a knife? Then put your browser to kershaw.kaiusa.com and explore their line of exceptional pocket knives. They have a huge selection of quality knives from EDCs and Made in America knives, and yes, even automatics. Score one for yourself today. And if you want to treat yourself to the latest in adventure, gear, and upgrades for your vehicle, go to OVRMag.com and use the code @TruckShowPodcast for a discount on print or 1-year access to our digital library for free. Please help me to keep the Truck Show Podcast free by supporting our sponsors or leaving reviews on Apple or Spotify. And don't forget to check TruckShowPodcast.com for the latest deals from our friends and partners.
The Truck Show. We're gonna show you what we know. We're gonna answer what the truck, 'cause truck rhymes with the Truck Show. We have the lifted, we have the lowered, and everything in between. We'll talk about trucks that run on diesel, electricity, and on gasoline. The Truck Show, the Truck Show, the Truck Show. Oh, oh.
It's the Truck Show with your host, Holman.
Yep, that's me, week after week, bringing you truck stuff. And again, on this show, I'd like to welcome back our friend, Mercedes Lilienthal, to discuss her experiences down at the Dakar Rally this year. I hope you enjoy this interview. All right, we got to welcome back our friend Mercedes Lilienthal. And you remember her and Andy were on not too long ago. But Mercedes had a chance to go spectate and cover the 2026 Dakar Rally. And if you remember, I was there last year with Ford. Mercedes, you were there with JLR this year.
I was, Jaguar Land Rover.
And it was a pretty darn good showing considering they had a brand new race vehicle and all that kind of stuff. And Americans were involved in this podium and all sorts of good stuff. But first, we have to play your jingle. Hold on one sec.
Where is that? I've got 4 big tires and some beadlock wheels. I've got 4 big tires and some beadlock wheels. I've got 4 big tires and some beadlock wheels.
All right, so where was it at this year?
So it was held in Saudi Arabia, and I was there for stage 2 and 3 in Alula.
So I was there last year, and I went with Ford, and I was there in Bisha. And that was a crazy experience, and we covered that on the show. And I'm kind of curious, have you been to Saudi Arabia before, and what was your experience going there?
Yeah, I hadn't. I hadn't been to any part of that world. So the second we started flying over, Africa and Egypt and seeing the outskirts of Cairo, I knew I was not in Kansas anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
It was amazing. My first time being there, especially as a woman, knowing that I was going to be driving in Saudi Arabia, just all of it. I was very much looking forward to the experience. And the second I landed, everybody was so hospitable. They were helpful. They were kind, and just very, very nice people. And it was wonderful. And just, try to immerse yourself in a different culture. And that's very much a different culture. But it just was absolutely wonderful. It was a great experience.
Yeah, it's completely different than the U.S. And it's not, I thought it was different for me in person than I was expecting it to be. Not in a bad way or a good way, just different. And it's one of those things where I'm like, I'm really glad. I'd never been to the Middle East before either. I'd been to Northern Africa, like Morocco, on several trips. I've been to Sub-Saharan Africa before. I've been to Eastern Europe before, but never all the way in the Middle East. So it was definitely one of those bucket list type things for me, and especially being there for the Dakar. So how did this all come together? Because it was sort of I guess maybe more of a last minute deal. Like, you want to come out and cover our race truck? Because they didn't even really announce it until shortly before the race, right?
Yeah, they had a very quick program to basically pull together everything. So it was Defender rally team and their trio of D7XR rally rigs. And when I came into play, I think it was maybe even over the holiday weekend and Thanksgiving, where it came together and they said, hey, we'd like to have you out to Dakar, right, to cover Dakar. And I mean, that's been a huge bucket list for me. I mean, massive for many, many years, even before I was a journalist and photographer, even my previous career. And they said, we'd like to have you out. It's a quicker program. I would be there, boots on the ground at Dakar, while they competed for about 2 days. But I don't care if I had to fly 4 days to get there for 10 minutes. I would have definitely done it. So so it came together. I think they had about 18 months or maybe a little less than 18 months to pull it all together. Now, I'm talking about the vehicle, planning the vehicles, testing the vehicles, and also updating the regulations with FIA, with the organization, to basically bring in, manufacturers with current-based vehicles, not the ones that were, way back when.
Yeah.
So the regulations were old. So they had to wait with a lot of testing and things like that until they figured out, okay, this is what this regulation is going to say. This is how we can build this. This has to stay stock, et cetera, et cetera. So that all evolved during that whole time. So it was just fascinating to learn and peek behind the scenes of that story.
Now, do you know what was different? So they were based off production Octa, which is the V8 powered Defender. I'm assuming they were Defender 110 body styles?
Yes. Based off the 110, yes.
Okay, so that's the middle ground, right? So you have the 90, and then you got the 130 now in that lineup. So it's basically, when they came out, if you haven't stayed up on Defender levels, there's now an extended wheelbase one. So it's basically the standard one, the four-door when it came out. What were they allowed to change? And we all know that the Defender Octa is pretty special, really, really well received in journalist circles. The V8 powertrain is phenomenal. Personally, I had some issues early on with Defender with some of the electronics and stuff. Go figure, English company, right? But overall, the Defender, I think, has acquitted itself really well in the consumer space. I mean, it's very capable. I'm not going to say like it's right up there with maybe like Ineos or Bronco or Jeep Wrangler for all-out off-roading, but it's really balanced, and you still get a way better on-road manners and handling, and you can still take it down a twisty road. It's a very balanced vehicle. Like, they've done a pretty amazing job with that chassis. So to see it push more toward the off-road, to see what that chassis is ultimately capable of, is pretty cool. So I'm just curious what all is different, even just the high level.
Yeah, definitely. So basically, let me just start with things that they can't change
Sure.
because they did a lot of modifications, even though they're technically in the stock class. Stock class teams can't change things like production specific items like the engine, the gearbox, differential housings, or the external body per se, as far as that is concerned. They can do different things like they updated the differential internals, but kept the same housings. They kept the same points for mounting their suspension, but they have different upgraded suspension. They've got larger tires and a larger track width, and they ran a 35-inch BFG race rubber, for instance. They have bespoke rally spec brake systems, for instance, that has vented discs, six-piston front and four-piston rear calipers. There's a whole host of stuff. They modified the front and rear a bit for greater ground clearance and approach and departure angles. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff, but they stayed within spec of the new regulations that the FIA put out, and then that's how they ran the stock class with the trio of D7XRs.
And when you're looking at Defender, it's an all-independent suspension vehicle. It's IFS front, IRS rear. Typically, in the stock setup, it's going to be an airbag suspension. Did they keep the airbags for the race vehicles?
They used the stock locations that they mounted an enhanced suspension system. The front was single coilover, and then the rear had parallel twin dampers.
Okay. So it sounds like
I
they
know
used the mounting systems, and then they went to a non-air, more of a race shock, which is what I would have expected
Right.
them to do in that setting, just because of the brutality of off-road racing over that type of distance.
Yes, yeah, and it looks like they partnered with Bill Stein. I'm looking at it over a couple of my notes here.
Yeah.
Looks like they partnered with Bill Stein on that.
Yeah, which everybody knows we're huge fans of the show, and I run on my personal vehicles. Now, I'm kind of curious. You and Andy have done rallies before, and we've talked about Alkin and some of those things that you've done. You've done a bunch of different, I guess, variations or disciplines within the rally. How does that differ from Dakar? As somebody who's competed as a driver and a navigator in various rallies, what is so special about Dakar?
That's a really great question. Coming from the competitive standpoint, what Andy and I do, my husband Andy and I, what we do is TSD or regularity rallies, and TSD stands for time, speed, distance rallying. That is very different than what the main part of Dakar does. I would akin myself to say that's more like Dakar Classic. So there's Dakar Classic that is within the main Dakar Rally, but it's kind of run separately because that's a separate track. Every day it's all regularities. So co-drivers or navigators like I am when I compete with Andy basically say, okay, you need to go this fast, you need to go here, turn here, go this slow, increase your speed, all that type of stuff based on the odometer reading and how much mileage or kilometers in that case they need to go.
It's almost like an old a racing video game where you're learning a track, but you have to follow the ghost car, and you have to be right where the ghost car is, right? Like that type of rallying is it's not the fastest, it's not the slowest.
Yes.
There's a target. Think of it as a bullseye that you're narrowing in on, and too fast and you go away from it, too slow you go away from it. There's a just right, and that's how you compete.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's how the Dakar Classic series runs. So for instance, Amy Lerner was an American that did it in a Porsche. And she, I think, won at least one of her stages with that a couple years ago. But there's a whole host of different vehicle types for that. Now, the main part of Dakar is the quickest, right? So it's blazing speeds. It's kind of like what you would think of what stage rally would be here and, well, globally,
Sure.
but also in North America. So that's not what Andy and I do, although we would love the opportunity, but stage rallies, like, you need to have full, full roll cage, full everything. And then
It's like the Baja 1000. Like it's
Right,
like full
yeah.
race support. It's like a legit,
It is.
How do you make $1 million racing? Start with 2 million, right? Like that's the
Yeah,
old joke.
exactly,
it's,
right.
it's a huge logistical lift to compete in that level.
Yes, yeah, and I mean to see such a finely tuned machine like JLR with the Defender Rally team and the trio of competitors that came from all over the world, including two Americans, American Sarah Price, which was the driver, and Sean Behrman, which was her co-driver. I think they both came from the SSV world with side by sides, but to see that all come together in literally mere months, to see that whole conglomeration, that whole entity being there with all the different support semis and things in the bivouac. Again, I was there for stage 2 and 3, which is both in Alula. So I was there early on, right as they were just getting started. But it was so neat to see how many semis, which semis, what do they have for consumables, how many engines did they bring, all that type of stuff. So it was really neat to peek behind the scenes and see how they pulled everything together.
Now, I guess it's for this series. They've signed up for 3 years, and
Yes.
they've got 3 vehicles, right?
Yes.
And
So they have a total of 5 vehicles, one including the mule vehicle.
yeah,
And they told me in an interview that we had in kind of a walk around when we were taking tour of the bivouac, they said they have pretty much anything and everything that they needed to rebuild a vehicle if they needed to, but it still needs to be that vehicle.
okay, that would make sense. I mean, you probably don't know in a race like that with a vehicle that's unproven just what parts you needed. So just bring another vehicle and you
Right.
can just rob it if you need to.
Right. Well, I think they brought all the parts. I don't think they had a parts vehicle per se. They had the mule. They have, I think, one extra. I'm pretty sure that they had said they had 5 total or had made 5 total. And mind you, they came off the same assembly line as the Octa. So one of the funny stories that they said is they actually tricked the robots with specific parts that they needed to put in there. So they kind of tricked them, and then the robots didn't know any different. Went zzz, zzz, went ahead and did it. So that was kind of a fascinating bit of a story to understand. But yeah, I mean they had the consumables, like, oh my gosh, that tons and tons and tons of rolling tool chests in the side of a semi where the side opens up and you've got everything. I mean, heck, I know I'm a woman, but I was gaga over it. And, all these boxes that had the differentials, that had spare engines, that had everything. And then you had the meeting room, they had a big conference room, which was also in another semi. You had the hospitality suite, which was also another semi. And I don't know how many semis they put together, but literally everybody had their place, what they're doing. I mean, heck, even for suspension, they had multiple clean rooms. So that had a vacuum system, so there wasn't any dust or anything or particulates that came in. I mean, it was fascinating.
That's pretty impressive. And even more impressive is the stock class, which included 3 Defenders, 2 factory Toyota Land Cruisers, and then a few privateer entries. And there were some Nissan Patrols, which have traditionally, back in the day, were really good and
Really
kinda
good, yeah.
cut their teeth at the Dakar. And the Land Rover team did exceptionally well this year for being
Yeah.
a first year, basically team, new drivers, new vehicle. Maybe walk us through where they ended up.
Yeah, they dominated. I mean, I think one of my feature articles I wrote was something like, Defender and Dakar domination was part of the title, because they literally did dominate. Out of 13 stages, so the rally itself went from January 3rd to January 17th. Out of 13 total grueling stages, they won 10 of them.
Wow.
And which
That's
is
huge
just
in that
insane.
type of sport.
And every one of the teams came away with stage wins. Obviously, some of them had multiples. So
Sure.
that's absolutely massive right then and there. I mean, they dominated the whole entire time. And when I was there for stage 2 and 3, at the end of stage 3, Ruckus, and I hope I don't butcher his last name, Bachuska, or
I think that
close to
sounds
that.
right. Yeah, I'm going with it.
Bachushka, I think is how you pronounce it. Sorry,
Can you
Ruckus.
can you say that 10 times fast for us?
Probably not. I'm German. I'm not Lithuanian, but I'm German. So that's the best that I got. Sorry, Ruckus.
Oh my gosh,
But
that's funny.
he and his co-driver, who's a Spaniard, Oriol Vidal or Vidal. They
Again.
yeah, right, pretty much. It's like, can I try it again? Let's rewind the podcast. Take that part out.
I butcher
But
everybody's name on the show, so it's
I
fine.
try so hard. Yeah, I know I try so hard. So Arrakis is only 26 years old, and when we
Wow.
got there, and I started documenting everything, he had won his class or the stage that day, and basically became the very first person to win stages across four different categories.
Oh my
And the guy
gosh.
is only 26 years old, which is insane.
All right.
So
Well, I'll never be at that level. I've already, that
no,
ship's already
no, no.
sailed.
I'm like, I can take photographs of you, I can like interview you, but
Yeah.
I'd never be able to race that well, that fast, especially at 26.
It's
But,
amazing.
and the guy was born in 1999, so he's got a long career ahead of
Yeah.
him. But Americans, Sarah Price and Sean Berriman, they ended up taking second place in the stock class. So it was a 1-2 punch. Yeah, it was a 1-2 punch for Defender. And then Mr. Dakar is what Stefan Peter Hansel's known as. They were in car 500 along with his co-driver, which is Micah Metke. Metke is his last name, and they finished fourth. So out of
That's
what
amazing.
8 total teams, I mean they pretty much dominated.
Yeah. That definitely sounds like domination. What was your experience actually covering the race, like getting out to the race course? And I remember for me sitting out there all day, and it really felt like the Mojave Desert, and I was just sitting on a rock, and I could have been anywhere in the world, and you'd hear them coming, and you could tell by the engine notes what was most likely coming over the rise, and then you were kind of there
Right.
ready with your camera. What was your experience like?
Yeah, so we got there in the mid-afternoon and they were just setting up the bivouac in Alula. So I think they were, oh, where were they? Maybe Yambu the day before. I'm honestly not sure where the bivouac came from the day before, but they were actively setting it up when we got there. And so we had a chance to get out on course or next to the course right before the finish line for stage two. So we had maybe, oh, I don't know, 45 minutes, an hour or so out there seeing everything come through, whether it's the SSV class, whether it's Ultimates or the T5 type trucks, like the man trucks.
Yeah,
Oh my
those
God.
things are amazing.
They're insane. It was
Yeah.
the first time I had a chance to actually see them in action. And they're coming up, they're side sloped on a sand dune,
Yeah.
coming up, cresting right as I
And some
was.
of them are solid axle front with leaf springs and bypass shocks, and then you're like, it's
Oh,
such a like just it's the oldest technology and the most modern technology all rolled into one
oh,
thing. And watching those things go
yeah.
by is just, I mean, it's heart stopping because
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
weigh so much. You can feel it in the ground and the
Yes.
vibrations. But you're like, something that big shouldn't be doing that, and here it comes. And you're like, man, that is so cool.
Yeah, no, well, and I mean, especially to see them catch air.
Yeah.
It was nuts coming up and
Well,
over.
and
It's like,
all of
oh,
them, it's
there's the front end.
they're cab overs, so you're sitting on top of the front
Yep.
axle. So when you catch
Yes.
air, you're getting 100% right on.
Oh,
You're a
yeah.
1-to-1 ratio with that axle coming down.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, and especially it's like, roll your own gears, baby. Let's go. So,
Exactly.
but no, it was just insane. And mind you, I was taking a lot of video, but then I was also behind my camera. So for 99% of it. So I've yet to go through and kind of call those images, but I know I've got some fantastic ones because, you've got two of them, for instance, coming through and a ton of dust, like an absolute ton of dust.
Yeah,
But I'm used to that, right? I
yeah.
had my Jesse Combs, buff, or actually not buff, but bandana on me. And so I just used it when I needed it. And I'm just used to always being in the elements like you are.
Yep.
But we had narrowly missed the Defender teams coming through. So we just had missed them, which is a bummer.
Bummer.
But stage three, we did see them. All three of them, trio coming boom, boom, boom right after each other, and I had a chance to see it. And that was a really interesting day. The next day for stage three, we did a follow the leader type of a scenario where we had stock defenders, and then we took our times. I was with another journalist actually from Motor Trend. And so then we went out there. He drove on the way out, and then on the way back, we went to the finish start line. Or I'm sorry, the starting line for stage three, and then that's when I drove in the desert, and also on pavement. Then I ended up driving back to Alula and the city. So that moment for me to get in the driver's seat was really surreal. Knowing that women from June 2018 on were only legally allowed and permitted to drive in the country. So that was very special for me to have that moment and to kind of understand the history of everything.
Yeah.
When we when we drove back, stage three basically had to change course, and a lot of things were shifting, and there were police everywhere, literally
We
everywhere.
had
So of
that same
course it's like,
experience in B show, covered in
really,
police. Yeah.
What's interesting is they had said that the prince was making kind of an unannounced visit,
Oh,
and that's
interesting. Okay.
why every intersection had police there. And of course, I'm a woman Westerner, a
Yeah.
little white girl being like, "Hey,
Were you in
it's
Western
legal."
wear, or did you have any coverings on or anything, or were you basically in Western wear?
Yeah, so that was a really good question. That was the first thing that I asked when I got the invitation because I wanted to respect their
Yeah, sure.
culture. And they said it is a Western program. You can wear Western, things, but I did research and I just wore plain darker colors, looser fitting things, looser fitting pants,
Yeah.
and a big kind of a baggy shirt and whatnot. And I did ask, should I bring like a headscarf? What color? I
Yeah.
don't want to bring a shemagh because if they're patterned in different colors,
Right.
that
It
could
means
mean
something
different
different.
things.
Yeah.
Right. So that's how I rolled, and it was completely fine.
It's,
I did, I think, at times wear my baseball cap too.
I think it's funny because when I went there, people were like, "Hey, Saudi Arabia, if there's a woman wearing a burqa, you don't look at them. Don't even if you bump in, don't say excuse me. No, you don't talk to them. You don't look at them." And I'm like, okay, so like even if you're on the bus, right, and you hit a bump and you just don't make contact because that's somebody who's married, and I don't know how much of it was real and how much of it
Interesting.
was lore, but it was like just mind yourself, right? So I'm
Right.
thinking, man, I don't know where to look. And all the women wearing the burqas, their eye makeup and eyebrows were
Yes.
on point. Every last one of them.
Yes.
They were all like
Yes.
perfect. It's
Yes.
so funny.
Yes.
So I'm
Yes.
like, man, I don't know where to look. I'm look at the ground, whatever. I get to immigration and it's all women in burqas, and she's asking me questions. I'm like, I don't know what to do here.
I'm not supposed to look at you.
I can't talk to you. I
Ah.
can't look at you, but you're the
Oh
immigration
gosh.
person. So
Oh my
anyway,
God. Well, and I guess I that's an interesting story because I never really put myself in a man's position, right? So if
yeah,
you were there as a Westerner and how you reacted with them and whatnot, and multiple things for me. One of them was I never realized until I was there in that culture, seeing just the thin slit of
yeah,
eyes, how many eyes are different, like the
yeah,
different shapes, the
yeah,
way that they look, and then I'm curious, and I didn't know that they could wear makeup. Might be a
yeah.
naive thing, but I had no idea they could wear makeup, and I'm thinking, are they wearing bright red lipstick underneath,
Who
and
knows?
you just can't see it?
You don't
I
know.
mean,
Yeah.
it was fascinating. It was
Yeah.
very,
Well,
very
I
interesting.
just thought it was interesting because the eyes being the only part of the body that you can really see, like
Right.
that's how they express themselves, and so they're
Yes.
on point. And everyone was like dialed to the nines, right? I'll tell you, this
Yep.
is probably slightly inappropriate, but I think funny story. So I'm at the Riyadh airport, and I'm like, I gotta go to the bathroom, and so I walk in, and it's all just like squatty holes in the floor, and I'm like mortified and they've got like the little nozzle that's people spray everywhere. It's on the
Yep.
ceiling, on the ground, everything's wet. And I'm
Yep.
standing there, and this guy walks up. He goes, "Hey, mate, Yankee or Brit?" And I'm like, American. He goes, "Last one on the right." And so, some Australian dude saw the horror in my face of like, I don't know what to do. And the very last stall was a Western toilet. And so I don't know who you are, Mr. Australian, but you saved me, and I appreciate you forever going forward. But that's one of those things, like going to the bathroom is different. And so you're like,
Yeah.
I
Oh,
don't
yeah.
know what to do. No, like nobody, they're just like, hey, you need to go to this faraway land, and here's some like basic rules of etiquette and
Right.
decorum.
Right.
And the rest you're just sort of on your own to figure out, right? And so
yeah.
it was
Yeah.
an adventure for sure. And at one point, coming there before I met with our group, I was by myself. And then after, my European contingent and Americans flying to different parts of the U.S. were gone, I was by myself again. And it was just, I'm just in the airport, the global airport system, trying to figure it all out.
Yeah. Well, and I ran solo. So, we were actually visiting family from the Midwest for a couple of weeks beforehand. And so I flew from Minneapolis, although we're based in Portland, Oregon,
Yeah.
we drove out. And then I flew from Minneapolis, I stayed at Dulles for I think 5 hour layover or 6 hour layover, and then over to Riyadh and then Riyadh to Alula. So in total, I think I had 6 flights, 5 airlines, I don't know, 3, 4, or 5 different several hour layovers, and an overnight in Dubai on the way back home.
Yeah.
So, which to akin to your
I heard
toilet
Dubai's
story,
pretty awesome. I'd like to get there
yes,
someday.
yeah. I never left the airport, but
Yeah.
other than being on the tarmac, but to add to your colorful toilet story, I didn't have the luxury of an Aussie telling me where to go. I just opened the door and went, all right,
All right, here we
we're
are.
gonna go ahead and do this. So I went ahead and did it, which both times are at airports, funny
Of course.
enough. And then I get back out, then I heard the damn flush. And I was like,
You're like,
oh, you gotta
oh
be kidding
man.
me. So both times, but I mean, it's fine. I used it. I just, I figured it out and all
Yep.
of that.
Yep.
But yeah, it was really interesting. But then on the way back home, I just didn't know what to expect. Like you, I found myself traveling globally to literally go all
Yeah.
the way around the world to this event and figuring it out on the fly.
Yeah.
And it was fascinating. It was really interesting and very different.
And I'll say this again, and people listening to the show know I've said it before. America is the purveyor of food around the world. And
Yeah.
I remember when I went to Australia for the first time, I'm like, I can't wait to get off the plane and see what they eat here, like what the restaurant. And it's like Subway, McDonald's, Hungry Jack's, which is Burger King. It just has a different name down there. And so I'm in Saudi Arabia. I'm like, all right, let's see what's different. I'm like, Burger King, KFC. I'm like,
Yeah.
it's still the same stuff. So, and I went to in Riyadh at the airport, you could get a bacon cheeseburger. And I'm like, I didn't know you could have bacon. They're like, it's turkey bacon.
Oh, yeah.
And so
Interesting.
they had a turkey bacon, like steakhouse burger there. And so I had, it was all right. It was,
Wow.
wasn't weird or anything like that. So, my American taste buds, no matter where I go, I know I'm going to be okay.
Yeah. Yeah, you're gonna be okay with the same kind of food.
Yep.
Yeah,
Wasn't
no, we when I got there and eventually got with the team, we had different kinds of foods that we could try and whatnot, and I tried to eat as regionally as I could. And where I was staying too had an amazing spread for breakfast.
Yeah.
And so, they love their chickpeas, their hummus, their,
the
all
hummus
different
there is
lebda.
amazing.
I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but yeah, everything was just fantastic. I came in the day before, and once I connected with JLR, they said there wasn't any plans for me at all that day. So they said, "Well, you're on your own. Have fun. Enjoy the place where you're at." And I thought, "Oh my gosh, I've got a whole entire day. What am I going to do?" And I thought, "This is going to be incredible. I'll take a walk of the property, which was beautiful. It was like a cross in between Moab and Sedona with the big rock walls and
Wow.
whatnot." And so I started off my day having a fabulous breakfast, and there were two other Americans, women, a mother-daughter, that was sitting there. I briefly met them as we were deplaning the night before, and we all got in pretty late, I think around midnight or so. So I think I was traveling for a day and a half straight. And long story short, they said, "Well, why don't you join us for breakfast?" And so we got to talking. They're both world travelers. So Alyssa and her mother Nancy's been to, I think, over 125 countries.
Wow.
And they said, "Well, let's see what we can do here. If you've got a free day," they said, "let me just talk to our fixer, our tour guide
Yeah.
that we had, that was their fixer, and see if we might be able to add you on this and come, take the day with us."
Oh,
And
cool.
it ended up working out, and it was absolutely fantastic. They're the most lovely people, and they're actually based out of LA. So we're gonna meet up here in the next couple months and keep on trucking.
Very cool. Yeah, I realized in my global travels that basically the furthest east that I was able to find a Dr. Pepper was London Heathrow. And so I was so happy
You
when
and
I was
Emmy with your
oh
pepper.
yeah, she
Dr.
likes the
Pepper.
diet stuff though. You know what?
Yeah.
By the way, Emmy, let me play this for you because this is your friend Emmy.
Oh my God, excuse me.
Literally, your friend Emmy belching up Dr. Pepper while I'm interviewing her.
I was just gonna say, I'm like, was that can number 2 maybe?
Oh my
Or-
God, that's probably can
Hi,
number
Emmy.
5.
Oh, no.
Excuse me.
Like she was so I was interviewing her and she does that and she's so embarrassed. She's like laughing. I'm like, that's gonna be a drop on the show. I don't care. And she's like, no,
That's
it's not. I'm like, oh yes, it is.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to ping her afterwards.
Yeah, you're gonna have to. So I think it was I for the last show of the season or the year last year, I was talking about how I'm gonna do better this year and be a better person and all that stuff. I said, but it's not next year yet. So I played the Emmy belch at the very end of the show, except I upped the volume by 20 times so that whoever was listening was like super gross and loud.
Oh, funny. Oh,
So
funny.
we
It's
have,
either the burps or the farts.
yeah, with her it's both. I'll tell you, I've spent a lot of time on trips in various parts of the world with that woman, and it's like I tell her, it's amazing to me that she's not taken.
Oh my God, you're the worst person I know.
So bad. She always.
You are the worst
I know.
person I know.
I know. We have a good time anyway.
That's fun.
She'll call me or send me pictures of Dr. Pepper from time to time, or just give me
Yep.
crap, which is good. So what's next for you? Are you any chance of going back to Dakar? Did you get bit by the Dakar bug, or?
God, I literally have no words. How bad that bug bit me. I will travel to heck and back and go cover it again. I would love to cover the entirety, which would be amazing. Which would probably be, I think, 2 weeks of competition.
Yeah.
Moving from bivouac to bivouac. As you go through Saudi Arabia, I am very humbled and grateful for the opportunity with JLR and to cover them, especially as a brand new manufacturer, as they're hopefully getting more manufacturers. They said, with the regulations and how they've changed and whatnot, they're welcoming more manufacturers. And JLR is like, bring it on, let's do it. They welcome more people.
I would love to see like
Toyota or Ford.
Bronco Raptor or something out there. I know they've got the T1R, but I think Ford would excel with their production vehicles in that environment. I think it would be pretty cool. And there's a few other manufacturers I can think of that it would be fun to watch. And I always love, even racing in Baja. The trophy trucks are awesome. I've ridden in trophy trucks and spec trucks, and they're awesome. But I always love racing in stock full because it was relatable. And to me, it was like you're doing the same thing. You're on the same race course. It's a little bit more technical. It's a little bit more hazardous. It's a little bit rougher. But I loved it because it was like the type of off-roading that I enjoyed doing. And it was something that wasn't so far. Yeah, you had bigger tires and shocks and things like that in a cage, but it wasn't so far removed from the types of things that I like to do. And so I think if with those rules being changed and more production vehicles, I bet they will raise that awareness level even more, because I think there's a subset of people who are enthusiasts who like racing when it's something they can relate to.
Exactly. And especially with the stock class, this revamped stock class. I mean, think about it. You buy an Octa, it's based off the Octa platform. And that's absolutely amazing. I mean, yes, there are things that were upgraded to make it rally ready, especially for Dakar, which is like, if not the most grueling, competition of the world next to Baja 1000 and others. But, when I was there, Ruckus took stage 1. And then Sarah took stage 2, and then Stefan took stage 3. And then that was when they did 2 days, stage 2 and stage 3. They all had 1, 2, 3 podium first stage in the stock class while I was there. That shows something about JLR. That shows something about the capability of that vehicle and what it can become, which was just amazing to see in person. But then also to see, some of the things earlier on, they had some power steering, issues. Sarah hit something really, I don't know if it was a big boulder or something like that on the underbody, and had some suspension stuff that they were working through. But they're constantly learning. And talking with some of the heads there, some of the engineering and some of the PR heads, they're taking those learnings and putting it back into production.
Racing matters. I remember back when I raced with Hummer back in the day, there were several changes to the production chassis of the Hummers that came directly from the racing program. And I know GM has been big on that over the years. I know Ford has been big on that over the years. And it makes better products for us. It's more exciting when it's a relatable vehicle, and it adds credibility to the brand. So I'm all for it. I'm glad you got a chance to get out there. Where will we be able to see your coverage of it if anyone listening wants to follow up and read about your experience?
Yeah, the biggest thing, the biggest single point I could say would be via our Andy and my channel, via Crankshaft Culture, because we'll be dropping all the different feature articles, a lot of photos I've taken too. I have, I think, probably 250, close to 300 different videos and Instagram stories and stuff like that we saved in story highlights. So you can get the on-the-ground action as I was there, how I got there, how I got back. So all of that all rolled into one. And as feature articles drop or different podcasts or even radio show, we'll be doing with down in San Diego, those will all be dropping on Crankshaft Culture. So, and then also my LinkedIn page too. We'll be doing that in addition. So that's probably the biggest single source to be able to get all of my coverage.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on and sharing your Dakar experience. And it's kind of fun knowing, just having been there last year, to kind of be able to relate to what you went through on yours. But thanks for sharing. And I'm sure we'll have you or you and Andy back on again soon. You guys are always up to cool stuff, and we always appreciate your stories telling.
Well, thanks so much. And great talking with you, and appreciate being on the show again.
All right. So thanks again, Mercedes, who is always so generous with her time, and appreciate her joining us. And she's always on some adventure doing something cool. So I always enjoy having her on, and she's got a unique perspective. So that was a good one. All right, before we go, let's check in on some reviews.
5 stars. 5 stars.
5 stars.
5
5 stars.
5 stars.
Right back at you, brother. Oh! That was closer than it usually was. All right, on Apple, we've got one here from Little Green Barracuda. Says, super informative and my go-to for weekly truck news and insider interviews that go beyond just trucks. It's a must-listen for every gearhead. Thank you, Sean. Well, thank you very much.
THANKYOU. Thank you. Thank you.
And thank you for your 5 stars on Apple.
Congratulations, you have earned 5 stars.
So we haven't checked in on the comments on Spotify in a while, so we should head over there. And I was just looking up, man, we have some from like months and months ago, and I apologize for not checking in. We'll start with Rob Kaiser. Back from when I got my new Jeep, and he says, your red looks great, but the Mojito's a great color. Glad you got your own back finally. I know it seemed like a long wait, and Rob is one of my cigar smoking friends who picked up on the podcast, and he's got, I think his Jeep is high velocity, which is super awesome. And Joey Rubalcaba says, yes, special guest, LOL. Just kidding. Good to hear you guys together. That was from our episode 71, when Lightning checked into the studio. And Avatar Rapture says, I'm enjoying your podcast as I'm driving my semi-truck, learning lots, and hope to upgrade my own 2025 Gladiator real soon. Oh, and that was episode 77 with Brad Hunt. And then episode 79 with Joe Gaddis, Shane Hopkins says, you keep talking about getting a Gladiator now. Of course, I don't know if you're looking to lease or what the budget is, but I feel like your 392 is too close to that. You need to get a Ranger Raptor. Get a fast thing, just in my 2 cents. And I love the Ranger Raptor. It's a great truck, one of the best out there. Price is great, but man, their leases are, this would be a lease through the business. So, yeah, it's just, it's too much. And there's some great lease rates on the Gladiator that I am super attracted to, but we'll see in a few months down the line. I've got the Mopar one coming back for some stuff, so I won't need to worry about that for a little bit, hopefully. Subi Guy AZ on episode 80 says, weird that the 2023 Grand Wagoneer isn't on that recall list. I've had mine to the dealer 3 times for the same concern, and they keep blaming my 21 travel trailer that has had no issues with 2 other vehicles previously towing it. Very concerning, honestly. And I'm a big fan of the Grand Wagoneer. Great vehicle. And sorry to hear that you're having warranty issues with that. That might have been one of the early ones, I think. Was it 22 or 23 when they first came out? Zach946 on episode 84 says, who doesn't want a proper go-fast Toyota truck? I guess talking about the Tundra, I believe, on that one. And Skynet535, can't imagine not investing that money versus paying $1,000 a month for a car that loses so much value. That was from episode 88, Have You Heard? That was Truck News talking about how many people are paying $800 to $1,000 a month for a car payment, which I agree is insane. All right, well, thanks for leaving comments on Spotify and leaving us reviews on Apple. If you go to Spotify, you can also leave reviews. And on Spotify, we have a 4.9 rating with 198 reviews, while on Apple, we have a 4.8 rating with 1,089 reviews. So please keep them coming. It really does help the show, helps for potential advertisers, and helps us get new listeners. So thank you for everybody who's left a review, left a comment. Keep them coming. We'll read them on the show. All right, before we go, I had an opportunity to follow up with a friend of the show, Marco Bonello, who has been a listener for a while. And I don't know, years ago, he invited Lightning and I out to go have pizza at his pizza place. But it's up in San Pedro, which is, I don't know, maybe 40 minutes or so north of me. And it's kind of, it's in an area that's not in my normal stomping grounds. So I got to make the effort to go there. So I've been telling him forever, I'm coming. I really want to come. He goes, I got you glass Dr. Pepper. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll come. But then it just never happened. I got busy, and it's just, again, it's not my normal, place where I hang out or travel to, and it's a little bit out of the way. So I had an event last week, not too far from him. In fact, he was sort of on the way. And I emailed him and I said, hey, Marco, I'd like to come have some pizza. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to be working. Let's do it. So I went and had some pizza at Bonello's New York Pizza in San Pedro. And again, this is a podcast listener. Posted on social. Ton of you guys were commenting on it. It was super cool. Did a reel. And the pizza was phenomenal. I was so stoked. I'm mad that I hadn't gone there sooner. And super simple menu. They've got happy rolls. They've got torpedo sandwiches. By the way, the torpedo's awesome. And he gave me a slice of just regular old pepperoni. I think every pizza joint in the world can have whatever pizza, but they got to be judged on their pepperoni. And this was like a thinner crust, New York style, crispy, as Dave Portnoy would say, a good solid undercarriage where it doesn't flop. No flop. And super crispy. The sauce was great. The cheese had this nice gooey cheese pull to it. Man, I'm getting hungry. I'm going to have to go up there for lunch this week maybe. But it was so good. And he followed through, had a couple of glass Dr. Peppers cold and waiting for me. So Marco, thank you very much. And I did a quick interview with him and just wanted to give him some love. So here we go. Quick interview with podcast listener Marco Bonello. Okay, after what seems like years and years of trying to get me here, he's finally done it. And I've met Marco at Bonello's Pizza here in San Pedro, and I've seen you at 3 events?
Yeah, it's been a few.
And you promised me that if I came, that there would be glass Dr. Pepper, and sure enough.
It was here.
All right, so what did I order?
Torpedo sandwich and a classic slice of pepperoni, and it did not disappoint, I don't think.
No, if you go to my my Instagram, at Sean P. Holman, you will see, and probably a truck show I'll put on there too, you'll see my plates, and you'll see just how much I just despise the food. Basically, if you could lick a paper plate, I think I did that. It was, dude, it was so good. And I'm a stickler about good. I don't like Chicago pizza because it's like tomato bread.
Yeah.
And you guys have New York pizza, but it's that thin, crispy crust that when you pick it up, it stays stiff and crunchy. But then all the cheese is all gooey, and the man, I'm getting hungry talking about this, and I just ate. And the sauce is perfect, and man, so tell everybody how long you've been here and all that good stuff.
We've been in San Pedro since 1984. We're going on 42 years now. Family business, still run by the second generation. My dad started in 84, and we've been going strong since.
All right, so my wife said she was jealous that I was doing this and she wasn't here, so I told her I'd take her on a date. If I brought her here, would you be able to set up a candle or something on your benches in here?
Yeah, it might have Jesus on the front of it, which is,
Hey, that's all good with us. I'll tell her to a very romantic setting here in San Pedro. So, what's the most popular thing on the menu?
Most popular thing, well, pizza for sure, but the Happy Roll sandwich, which you're going to have to try next time.
Okay, so I looked at the Happy Roll, and I was back and forth, but I'm like, nah, you know what? I want to do the torpedo. But that Happy Roll sandwich looked it looked like it makes people smile.
It does. It's a hot sandwich, red sauce, cheese, all rolled up in our pizza bread, pizza dough, and then baked all together in the oven. Put whatever makes you happy inside.
All right, so how long have you been listening to the podcast?
Probably at least 5 years now. I think you've been around for 6?
No, this is year number 8.
Number 8. Yeah. Well, I went back and listened to a lot of the past episodes, but yeah, I've been listening to at least 5 years now.
Well, I appreciate you being a listener to the Truck Show podcast, and I appreciate you feeding me. And I'm gonna have to return the favor. And even though it's a little bit away from me here in SoCal, it takes a little bit to get to. I'm gonna try and do my best to come back and be a customer again and support you. So love supporting small businesses, but also love supporting my podcast listeners. So if people are, you have a website, if somebody wants to find you here in Pedro?
Yeah, Bonello's Pizza San Pedro. Bonello'sPizza.com. You'll find us. It's all the menus up on there, and we're on 8th Street and Gaffey in San Pedro. Come find us.
Yeah, just down the street from the Iowa Battleship Museum. So if you're familiar with the waterfront and all that stuff. So anyway, I've got a meeting to get to, but I just want to say thank you and give you a little bit of love on the podcast. And you have given me a cane sugar glass Dr. Pepper bottle for the road. I cannot thank you enough.
Thank you. I appreciate you coming by.
All right, so just a little quick interview on my phone. So not the greatest audio quality ever, but so great to see Marco and the guys that work there. I sat there, I had dinner, and it was like just hanging out at your buddy's shop, but instead of wrenching on cars, they were wrenching on pizza dough. And everybody was laughing, having a good time, customers coming in and out, so it was really cool. So anyway, I appreciate my podcast listeners, and Marco, sorry it took me so long to get down there, but thanks for supporting the show and listening to it. And I will be back down there for some food soon, so I'll catch you on the next one. All right, that's going to do it for this episode of the Truck Show Podcast. Send me your thoughts by emailing the show, truckshowpodcast@gmail.com, or following us on social at Truck Show Podcast or at Sean P. Holman.
The Truck Show, the Truck Show, the Truck Show,
And you can be part of the show by calling the 5-star hotline and leaving yourself a voicemail. And we haven't heard as much from you guys lately, but I always love when you do, whether it's a truck review or just a comment or something about your truck or a question or anything you want me to answer on the air or just talk about. Just give us a call, 657-205-6105. And, of course, you can join our Facebook group, the Pod Shed Insiders. Why not? If you're already on Facebook wasting time, why don't you waste some time in the Pod Shed, because there's always some great discussions going on. I think maybe next episode we'll dive in and see what's been going on in the pod shed. And, of course, we've got to thank our sponsors, AMSOIL, for those of you who love your vehicles and want the best synthetics, oil change kits, car care products. You want to go to truckshowpodcast.com to our featured products drop-down menu. Go to AMSOIL, and then our special link is in there. Of course, you can go to AMSOIL.com, but if you're going to buy something, use our link, because the show will get some credit for that, and we really appreciate that. All right, also, before May 5th, if you buy $100 or more at AMSOIL, you will get a tire gauge, a ruggedized tire gauge that has the AMSOIL logo on it. It's pretty cool. By May 5th, again, that's using the code GAUGE, GAUGE 426, GAUGE 426. And you can get that. That's their current promotion. And if you are looking for a great knife, then head on over to Kershaw. You can find great knives at a great price, kershaw.kaiusa.com. And the best in high-quality adventure, gear, lifestyle, and vehicle reviews, well, that's only found in the pages of OVR Magazine. Yes, a real print magazine, but we also have a website and a digital library, so get access to the digital library for free by using the code @TruckShowPodcast. And that same code will get you a discount on a print subscription. Both of those can be redeemed by heading to OVRmag.com. And if you are a onesie-twosie kind of guy, you can find OVR Mag across the country, whether it's at Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, or hundreds of other retailers out there. All right, as always, I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did, and I look forward to doing it again real soon.
The Truck Show Podcast is a production of Truck Famous LLC. This podcast was created by Sean Holman and Jay Tillis, hosted by Sean Holman, and uses production elements by DJ Omar Khan and Jay Tillis. If you like what you've heard, please open your Apple Podcast or Spotify app and leave us a 5-star review. And if you're a fan, there's no better way to support the show than by sharing it and patronizing our sponsors. Some vehicles may have been harmed during the making of this podcast.
Holman Road into San Pedro, straight to Vanillas by name.